The amount of sewage we pump into the rivers and the sea has been called a national embarrassment, and the government has pledged to make water companies clean up their act. At the moment, they're permitted to discharge sewage when heavy rain leads to their sewers filling up. It's widely agreed, though, that this practice needs to end, but it's not an easy problem to fix. In the final part of our series on water pollution, James Ingham has been looking at how we all may need to change the way we use water, which could include some big changes at home.
I love water sports. I windsurf, I swim, I paddleboard and I sea kayak. I prefer kayaking in the harbours. The stuff that I see floating around in there, it stinks, it looks mucky, and I don't see it in other places of the world.
These kayakers love the water, but they always have to check whether sewage has been discharged nearby before they hit the waves.
We know that there is sewage in the water. We paddle through it, we see it. It's visually evident to us, the sewage. You see it on the beaches, you see it in the sea, but that's only part of the picture. What we don't understand is what we don't see.
And it's invisible pollution that may be causing them harm. Samples taken from harbours on the Hampshire coast show sewage discharges into the water are affecting its quality.
There's no question that they're increasing things like the microbiological levels, which are directly linked to our kind of human waste from toilets, and then also things like the nitrates and phosphorus, which are causing the algal blooms and eutrophication.
The sewer overflows happen more now than ever. Population growth and climate change putting more pressure on ageing infrastructure. That could be fixed with enough money, but Dr. Cruddas believes we need to radically change the way that we use water.
We're in a water-stressed part of the world, and yet we're extracting all this water, putting a lot of energy and cost into treating it, putting it into people's houses. With one flush of the toilet, we contaminate it straight away. It's the waste that we generate that causes the pollution, that causes the environmental problems. So for me, we need to kind of get away from that whole system to something that's much more closed loop and much closer to where the waste is generated. So this is an example of a research project we've been working on with EU funding, and our partners in Belgium have actually been involved with this new housing development. This is a block of flats, and in the basement of this flat they have the wastewater treatment plant that's treating all of the toilet waste from all of the block directly on site, so it never gets into a sewer.
So this kind of system is fine for new build developments, but what about all our older housing stock that's still connected up to ageing Victorian sewer infrastructure?
So you're right, for new housing, this type of thing that's fantastic and exciting. For older housing, it's just not feasible to put in that kind of infrastructure. And so I think the step we need to get to is getting a self-contained toilet that can process the waste.
The screw lifts the solid waste to the top, where it's converted into small dry pellets, which then feed into the combustor.
Without being connected either to needing this water coming in, clean drinking water, or needing to use a sewer on the way out.
But for now, there are things we can do to help reduce pressure on sewers. Number one, stop putting wipes and other unflushables down the toilet. They're the main cause of the 300,000 sewer blockages each year in the UK. And if we have outside space, how about this creative way of cutting the amount of rain rushing down drains?
It's coming!
A rain garden. This one built at Shelbourne Primary School in Wiltshire.
Really, rain gardens are about thinking of the drop of rain as it falls from the sky, landing, and then thinking how can we slow that down and help it soak in.
And this can help to stop those sewage discharges which we're seeing too often.
It absolutely can, because we're keeping a huge amount of water out of that network. What lands on the roof at home is pretty much exactly equal to the amount of water our family uses in a year. And none of that needs to be in the network. It all could be in water butts and then draining off into my own garden.
How much realistically can schemes like this and measures we put in place at home contribute to what is a complex and a really huge problem that the country's facing?
It is a huge problem, and it would be unrealistic to think a few rain gardens would fix it. So it's about lots of people making little changes that will add up to a big difference as part of a bigger solution, which will be a mixture of green, things like nice rain gardens and grey engineered concrete solutions.
So it's that mix of behaviour change, improvement from water companies and tougher regulations that we're likely to see in the future as society tackles its mighty clean-up challenge. James Ingham, BBC South Today.